everyone, in this video we are going to discuss the topic steps in research from the module research aptitude. So what are the steps that you have to follow when you are planning to do a research? Here you have the step 1, that is identifying and defining the problem. So when you are planning to do a research, the first step that you have to do is you have to identify the problem. What are you going to do with your research? What is the problem that you are going to address or you are going to focus in your study? So then comes step 2, that is reviewing literature. After identifying the idea or after identifying the problem that you are going to focus in your study, you have to review the literature that is associated with that particular area. So that will lead you to the third step, that is identify the variables and formulate hypothesis. So after analyzing, after reviewing the literature, you will be getting a clear-cut idea. So this is what I am going to do in my research, in my study. So you will be identifying the variables that you are going to focus in your study, and based on that you will be formulating the hypothesis. So what comes next? The next step is prepare the research design. So this research design is basically a plan or a framework that you are giving to your research. How are you going to do your research? What is the approach? What are the sampling procedures that you are focusing on? What is the plan or what is the framework in which you are going to do your research? That planning process comes in this particular stage, that is prepare the research design. So after that comes the next step, that is carry out sampling. So based on the research design, based on the framework or the planning that you have already have in you, you have to carry out the sampling. You have already known, okay, this is the procedure that I am going to do, or this is the approach that I am focusing in my study. So based on that you have to carry out the sampling, which is very appropriate or the most appropriate sampling for your particular study. So after that, after carrying out the sampling, you have to do the data collection. So from the sample you will be collecting the data. So what comes next after the data collection? Obviously that is data analysis and hypothesis testing, right? So you have collected the data and now you are analyzing those data and you will be taking a proper decision about your hypothesis. That comes in hypothesis testing. So you will be analyzing the data and you will be deciding whether I have to accept the null hypothesis or whether I have to reject it, so on and so forth. And then comes the final step. So now the procedures are over, you have done everything, you have analyzed the data and you have tested the hypothesis, and after that comes the final step, that is thesis writing. Based on what you have done so far, you will be writing your thesis. So I will just repeat the steps that are involved in the research. Step 1, identifying and defining the problem. Step 2, reviewing literature. Step 3, identify the variables and formulate hypothesis. Fourth step is prepare the research design. Fifth, carry out sampling. Sixth, collecting data. Seventh, data analysis and hypothesis testing, and finally comes thesis writing. So now we will be looking at a previous year question that was asked from this particular area, and this question was asked in December 2019 NET, and the question goes like this. Which of the following sequences represents the most logical sequence in doing research? And you have the options: identifying and defining a research problem, formulating a hypothesis, testing of hypothesis and reporting the results. Option B, identify a research problem, defining the population and sample, collecting data and analysis of data. And C, survey of research, defining the research problem, collecting data and presenting the outcomes. And you have the final option, that is defining research variables, hypothesizing, testing of research and reporting of research outcomes. So they have asked us to find out the most logical sequence in doing the research, right? From what we have learned so far, you know the answer right now. The right answer for this question is option A, that is identifying and defining a research problem, formulating a hypothesis, testing of hypothesis and reporting the results. So I hope this video will be really helpful in your preparations. Thank you and happy learning.